So she stumbles through the field. She can't see, though she tries. Should've worn her pennant. Now she stumbles. Now she cries. Her skin's red and it burns, and the fields go on for miles. Life sucks you dry. She wonders why. Wonders why.
hosting some kind of gathering of top advisors this evening to talk about how to respond to the Epstein situation?
I don't know. I could ask you that question. I don't know of it, but I think here's the man right here.
Mr. President, I know you urged people to move on, but I'm curious, why do you think your supporters in particular have been so interested in the Epstein story and so upset about how it's been handled? Why do you think that is?
So the different things, the Steele dossier, which was all fake, all that information was fake. But I don't understand why the Jeffrey Epstein case would be of interest to anybody. It's pretty boring stuff. It's sordid, but it's boring. And I don't understand why it keeps going. I think really only pretty bad people, including fake news, want to keep something like that going. But credible information, let them give it. Anything that's credible, I would say, let them have it.
Jeffrey Epstein was your neighbour. I would be remiss if I didn't ask you about him. East 71st Street. He was your neighbour for 10 years. How well did you know him?
All right, so we are in number 11, and he lives in number 9.
Right.
So we renovate, we buy our house, and our house is pigeons and mice.
Right.
Okay, that's it. It was derelict.
Right.
So we rebuild our house. We move in 2005. Okay. Jeffrey Epstein is arrested in like 08, I think, or something like that.
Right.
So knock on the door. His assistant on like a Saturday says, Mr. Epstein, your neighbor would like to invite you over for coffee. So my wife and I go next door. We walk the 7 steps,
Yes.
right, to the next house for coffee. We share a wall.
Right.
So it's in New York City. So he invites us in. We have coffee in this, and he says, do you want a tour? We said, great. He's
Interesting.
got a really big house.
Every room you went into?
He's got, well, I'll tell you. So his house is like super big, really wide. And so he gives me a tour in the living room, big living room. And then across from it is double doors. I assume it's the dining room.
Yeah.
And he opens the door, and there's a massage table in the middle of the room.
Ooh.
And candles all around and stuff. So I ask very insightful, cutting questions. I say to him, massage table in the middle of your house? How often do you have a massage? And he says, every day. And then he gets weirdly close to me.
Ooh.
And he says, and the right kind of massage.
Ooh.
Now my wife is standing here. So she looks at me and I look at her and we say, I'm sorry, we have to go. And we left. And in the 6 or 8 steps it takes to get from his house to my house, my wife and I decided that I will never be in the room with that disgusting person ever again.
Oh,
So
yeah.
I was never in the room with him socially. for business or even philanthropy. If that guy was there, I wasn't going because he's gross. And so I look back at it as a gift.
Yes.
He gave me a gift
Yes.
of a voice. And
Yeah.
so, yeah,
So
that's
he
my
was-
story. A one and absolutely done.
Why did the Epstein files show you coordinating a meeting and planning a visit with Jeffrey Epstein on his private island in December 2012?
Thank you for the question. I'm glad to be here to make it clear that I met Jeffrey Epstein when I moved to a house next door to him in New York. Right? And I met him then. Over the next 14 years, I met him 2 other times that I can recall. 2 times. And that is none for 6 years. So 6 years later, I met him. And then a year and a half after that, I met him and never again. Probably the total, and you've seen all of these documents, of these millions and millions of documents, there may be 10 emails connecting me with him, probably about 10 emails connecting me with him over a 14-year period. I did not have any relationship with him. I barely had anything to do with that person. Okay?
Secretary Lutnik, I think you understand the root of concern here. It's the way you described very emphatically your first encounter with him in his apartment, said you were disgusted, would never have any contact with him again. Did you in fact make the visit to Jeffrey Epstein's private island?
I did have lunch with him as I was on a boat going across on a family vacation. My wife was with me, as were my 4 children and nannies. I had another couple they were there as well with their children, and we had lunch on the island. That is true, for an hour, and we left with all of my children, with my nannies and my wife, all together. We were on family vacation. We were not apart. To suggest there was anything untoward about that in 2012, I don't recall why we did it, but
Mr. Secretary, again, as I said, there's not an indication that you yourself engaged in any wrongdoing with Jeffrey Epstein. It's the fact that you believe that you misled the country and the Congress based on your earlier statements, suggesting that you cut off all contact when in fact you had not. When you visited the private island, did you see anything inappropriate during that visit?
The only thing I saw with my wife and my children and the other couple and their children was staff who worked for Mr. Epstein on that island.
And you realize that, this visit took place after he'd been convicted, right? I mean, you made a very big point of saying that you sensed that this was a bad person in 2005. And then, of course, in 2008, he was convicted of soliciting prostitution of a minor. And yet you went and had this trip and other interactions. Did you have a dinner in Epstein's New York City home in 2011?
No.
So the information that suggests that there was a dinner with Woody Allen and Woody Allen's spouse at the Epstein residence, that's there's nothing to that. Is that right?
I actually don't know what you're referring to. Look, I looked through the millions of documents for my name, just like everybody else. And what I found was there was a document that says that I had a meeting with him in May, I think, for an hour at 5 o'clock.
Okay.
Not dinner or otherwise, for an hour at 5 o'clock.
All right. There's also a reference to the fact that Epstein had expressed an interest in meeting your nanny. Do you know whether Jeffrey Epstein ever met with your nanny?
No, I saw that. I had no idea what that was about. It had nothing to do with me.
No
as far as
interaction
I
at
know.
all between them.
No, as far as I know.
Would you, Mr. Secretary, be willing to ensure that the file is complete to share with this committee and the Congress your own records, any records you have that relate to Jeffrey Epstein?
I will surely talk about that. I hadn't thought about that. I have nothing to hide. Absolutely nothing.
Right. So, I mean, that's an incredible story that you could pick up that he was a pervert.
It's gross. The guy's gross. Right with my wife. He's gross. The guy's gross. This was not, the deep nuance of Howard Lutnik. This guy's gross.
Right. So how come Bill Gates and all these other people could hang around him and not see what you saw? Or did they see it and ignore it? Or
No, they participated.
right.
That's what his MO was, get a massage. And what happened in that massage room, I assume, was on video. This guy was the greatest blackmailer ever. Blackmail people. That's how he had money.
So what happened to those videos? Why is there now such a dearth of information when, Donald Trump's people are running the FBI and the DOJ?
I assume way back when,
Mm-hmm.
they traded those videos in exchange for him getting that 18-month sentence, which allowed him to have visits and be out of jail. I mean, he's a serial sex offender. How could he get 18 months and be able to go to his office during the day and have visitors and stuff? It must have been a trade. So my assumption, I have no knowledge, but my assumption is there was a trade for the videos because there were people on those videos.
And have you talked to Donald Trump about this and shared your theory?
No, I mean, he knows the story.
Right.
But
Oh,
my story that, I was one and done with the guy. He knows that story, but... That's it.
He would have been interested in that story.
Yeah, but I don't know. It's just a story. It's just a one and done. That guy. Ugh.
And did Trump feel the same way about him?
I don't speak to him about these kind of... These are just distractions.
Right.
The thing about the president is I'm doing the most important thing that I see. And then right after we do that, he does 10 other things that are as, if not more important, that are not my thing.
Right.
And you're like, wow. And he is great at it. And sometimes he lets me stay. So he lets me stay for the Joint Chiefs of Staff come in.
Right.
I'm like, this is the coolest thing ever.
You sit here and you attack the president, and I am not going to have it. I'm not going to put up with it. All they want to do, the American people need to know this. They are talking about Epstein today. This has been around since the Obama administration. This administration released over 3 million pages of documents, over 3 million. And Donald Trump signed that law to release all of those documents. He is the most transparent president in the nation's history. And none of them asked Merrick Garland over the last 4 years one word about Jeffrey Epstein. How ironic is that? You know why? Because Donald Trump, the Dow right now is over. The Dow is over $50,000. I don't know why you're laughing. You're a great stock trader, as I hear, Raskin. The Dow is over 50,000 right now. The S&P at almost 7,000. And the NASDAQ smashing records. Americans' 401ks and retirement savings are booming. That's what we should be talking about. We should be talking about making Americans safe. We should be talking about, what does a Dow have to do with anything? That's what they just asked. Are you kidding?
Mr. Jordan, Mr. Jordan, committee will be in order.
Secretary Lutnik today was testifying on the Hill. He said that he had visited Epstein's island in 2012 with his wife and children, and that's after he said that he had cut ties with Epstein. And the Justice Department documents show that he was in contact with Epstein through 2018 over messages. So does the White House stand behind Secretary Lutnik right now, or given what he has said today, has there been any shift in how the White House is viewing Secretary Lutnik's performance?
No, Secretary Lutnik remains a very important member of President Trump's team, and the president fully supports the secretary.
Welcome to Through a Glass Darkly Live. You're listening on no radio anymore. You're listening to me from my office, my esteemed office. And the intro song was Mark of the Doomslayer by Carl Casey at White Bat Audio. Anyway, I tried a new little setup that StreamYard has. I experimented. There's a reason that was much smoother than it's ever been, because I don't have to click and change 16 different things. I press one button now. So we are good to go. All right, let's get to the remaining comments. I appear to have a lag, so all right, well, welcome everybody. All right, we're actually going to talk about what I wanted to, what the title of this is. So I asked ChatGPT to do a number of tasks, this time not to write me a script. I haven't done that in a while. But I did ask it to collate certain information for analysis. Oh, wow. Hey, thank you, Mermaid Moxie. I appreciate that. Thank you very much. Yeah, actually, there's a really, really weird set of events that happened to me on, let me just close this thing up. What is this? What is going on with this? And why can't I close window? There we go. Lots of crazy events that happened, or one crazy event that happened during Easter. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a banner. So you can, because I just wrote about it. Just give me a second. This is painful. I should have prepared for this, but this is not a professional operation. Okay. Okay. I'm just trying to find. Here we go. This is not set up great, but all right. I have 70 different tabs up, so I'm just trying to navigate. All right. Are you kidding me? All right, here we go. So there's an event. I might make a separate video about it because it's weird enough to merit that. But just look at my latest post there. It's free. And you can read what happened to me on Holy Saturday and Easter Sunday. It's bizarre. It is totally bizarre. I recorded it as it happened, and then you can draw your own conclusions. That's all I'm going to say. But please do check that out. All right, let's see. Hey, I appreciate that. Thank you, Mermaid Moxie, who says you are an excellent task mediator on FFG. Is pretty much on par. Yeah, well, look, I can't consolidate that amount of information if I tried to do that through standard research, it would have taken me a week. Okay, so Beezer Jaw Trigger Squeezer, give me the Sean's matter of the content and topic that you're covering. How could we arrest a sitting president, the majority of the richest people in America that are guilty, in all tied in? I think you just release the files and then just let nature do its course. Okay, so 47,916 Dow today. So by Trump's metrics, things have declined sharply. The bubble needs to burst a lot more to curb inflation for that. I hope it doesn't burst. I recovered a bunch of what I had lost once that ceasefire came. So because that thing burst, you're going to have more problems than inflation. Trust me. Hey, switch to. Let's see. High Dow is bad for mainstream, but great for the billionaires. No, it's good for the mainstream too. Trust me. If that thing were to burst, you would go into depression mode, and there wouldn't be any money for jobs, and you'd have it would be bad for everyone. Trust me. So, okay. Yeah, so anyway, you can check out that story separately. Let's just start with kind of some of this analysis that I did, but I just asked ChatGPT to put together a packet with the data. So there's kind of three key takeaways of this analysis. So the balance of power remains asymmetric. The United States and China dominate the global industrial and naval contest. Russia and Ukraine dominate current land attrition, i.e. either just feeding men into their meat grinder. Oh, this is interesting. Japan and South Korea matter disproportionately because of shipbuilding, electronics, and munitions. And Iran and North Korea matter because low-cost missiles, drones, and nuclear coercion can impose strategic costs far above their GDP weight. So that's the first key takeaway. The second is the key mobilization story of 2026 is not simply bigger armies. It is the conversion of civilian industry into drone, missile, shell, and air defense throughput. So Germany, France, Britain, the US, Japan, South Korea, Ukraine, and China are all leaning harder into industrial mobilization, even where formal manpower laws have barely changed. And then the most dangerous pathway is a synchronized multi-theater stress test. The war in Ukraine stays hot, the Middle East ceasefire fails, and China intensifies coercion around Taiwan, while Western stockpiles and political attention are already stretched. Okay. So there's got to be a good way to share this. So let's just try to share. Oh boy. Yeah. Yeah. Crazy Cow writes, my in-laws have put all their money into gold. Gold has gotten crushed a little bit recently. Okay. All right. So let's just do a share screen. Okay. That's weird. Seriously? All right, that's super irritating. All right, well, that's not ideal, but it is what it is. Okay. All right, right, that's good enough for government work. What are we doing? Okay. So as I zoom in, what I wanted to do is I asked it to look at current population, estimated number of males between 18 and 45, GDP in trillions, the debt to GDP ratio, what their oil exposure was, what their food exposure was, and population trends. Okay, so a little bit dry, but this is kind of an important piece of perspective, right? So China allegedly is 1.4 billion. I don't think that's right. I think it's less than that. But look at this: 273 million men ages 16 to 45. That's probably a little inflated, but compare that to the United States. The United States is, I mean, a quarter of that at best. So there's 66 million males in this age range in the United States. The other EU countries, right? Maybe, I mean, just the manpower of China just dwarfs everything. Okay, now the United States has about a third more of GDP than the Chinese do, and the Chinese have, almost 100% of GDP debt to GDP. So it's almost as bad as us, but the Japanese have it the worst. They're extremely leveraged. Okay. Look at the Russians, virtually none. I mean, they're in the best position from that standpoint, although their GDP is far, far, far lower than the United States. Like the United States is like 15 times that. Then Ukraine, Russia's 10 times Ukraine's GDP, and they have a huge debt to GDP ratio. The UK is kind of similar to the United States. All right. In terms of oil exposure, so Russia is a net oil exporter, so no problems there. Ukraine, high fuel importer exposure. The UK has moderate exposure. Germany, high import exposure. Other EU countries are mostly net importers, mostly by state. United States, low to moderate major producer. Japan is very high import dependence. Same with South Korea. Iran, no, major oil producer, exporter. And then China and North Korea, highly dependent on imports for oil. In terms of food exposure, Russia, no problem. Ukraine, no problem. I mean, basically the breadbasket of Europe. UK is moderate. Germany, moderate. Other EU countries, mixed, but mostly moderate dependence. United States, low, major food exporter. Japan, highly dependent. South Korea, the same. Iran is moderate food import dependence. And then North Korea, structurally food short. And then China, moderate. Okay. In terms of population trends, Russia's declining, strongly negative in Ukraine, slightly positive via migration, flat to straight positive in Germany, slightly positive overall in other EU countries, positive, but slowing in the United States. Japan, negative, slight negative in Korea. Iran is positive but slowing. North Korea is near flat, slightly positive, and then China is negative, rapidly aging. So that's kind of where everybody's starting off. From their military inventory, okay, the Chinese are clearly have the largest, over 2 million in terms of active personnel. The United States is second at 1.3 million, followed by North Korea, and you can kind of see the rest. In terms of tanks, China has the most, followed by Russia, followed by the United States, then North Korea, and then South Korea, and then everybody else rounds out the rest. I mean, the Brits only 227. How far have they fallen? My Lord. Artillery, Russia has clearly the most. They kind of always have. And then kind of North Korea is next. And then it just kind of, you got South Korea actually has more than China, and then the United States. Nuclear warheads, Russia obviously has the most. U.S. is close. Nobody else is even close. The U.S. is kind of the lead in submarines. The Russians are kind of closely behind it. But in terms of carriers, we're way more, 20 versus everybody else. It looks like we have more there are more carriers in the United States than there are all other governments combined, at least on this chart. And then this is kind of other naval vessels. China actually has the largest navy, believe it or not, but the U.S. probably has the most powerful. Actually, I'm sorry. The Russians have the largest navy? That's surprising. But again, their ships are a lot smaller. And then the Brits are kind of a fraction of their former glory. All right, so in terms of industrial and strategic power, at least starting, so Russia has large inherited armor and artillery. Their wartime shell and drone output has surged. And then Putin said Russia produced more than 1.5 million drones in 2024. Kremlin still complains about frontline demand exceeds supply. Tank replacement leans heavily on refurbishment and reactivation as well as new production. So Ukraine strength less in mass armor than in rapid battlefield adaptation. So, wow. Their planned output is above 4 million drones in 2025 and 7 million targets for 2026. However, long-range attack drone production is constrained by a shortage in mini turbojet engines. All right, so Britain, small active force, they only pledged 100,000 drones. Well, it's like nothing. The Germans... So Rheinmetall is the key shell and armored vehicle actor. So Reuters reported a planned shell output path from roughly 70,000 rounds in 2022 to as high as 1.1 million by 2027. All right. So I don't really go too much into other. All right. So U.S. has by far the deepest defense sector airlift and blue water base, but peacetime production bottlenecks remain real because all the stuff we produce is like very precious and fancy. So the Pentagon said, THAAD, that's theater high altitude air defense, the component output would be quadrupled under new agreements. Raytheon's Tomahawk path points to 1,000 annually. Anduril opened a high-speed drone factory in Ohio. Again, you heard the numbers with Russia and Ukraine. Like, we're talking millions of drones, and we're only talking like 1,000 Tomahawks, which probably cost, multiples of the individual drones. So, again, Japan and South Korea, they're kind of the best, or where a lot of the shipbuilding is. And then, not a lot. Iran power rests in missiles, drones, and regional militia networks rather than GDP scale. So they believe more than 66% of Iran's missiles, drone production has been damaged or destroyed more. We'll see. So North Korea has a large mass army, deep artillery park, and expanding missile programs despite sanctions. Output is opaque, but Reuters reported solid fuel engine advances, carbon fiber, airframes, etc. So the strongest overall industrial position after the U.S. is clearly China. So they have world-class shipbuilding, deep electronics chain, and huge missile and drone ecosystems. Reuters cited a 6.9% in the 2026 defense budget, and separate reporting indicates China dominates roughly 80 to 90% of the commercial drone market. All right, so the next section I wanted AI to look at is how has the mobilization picture changed in all these countries? Because it clearly has in the United States. We heard all this stuff about increasing the age potential of enlistment, as well as automating the selective service registration. Like the government automatically does it anymore. Individuals don't have to actually go and do it. So I wanted to see if anything has changed to put all these countries on more of a war footing. Okay, so in terms of Russia, there's no new general mobilization announced. So they're saying it's not on the agenda, but it is giving cash inducements for students to join drone units and quotas placed on some firms to feed recruits into the army. And it also continues to route manpower into specialist UAV roles. Putin said more than 1.5 million drones of various types were produced. We already know that. And then Reuters said May 2025 drone per was 1.6 the 2024 monthly average. In terms of the 2024 drone mobilization overhaul, it obliged men to update draft data and widen the manpower pool. Recruitment remains politically sensitive, but Kyiv is still tightening enforcement while rotating more technical roles to unmanned systems. So industrial expansion is heavily drone led. We already talked about the increase. They have a 7 million drone target in 2026. All right, so Britain is saying no return to conscription readiness measures, emphasize reserve reinforcement, specialist training, and munitions. So the UK committed, this is not many changes. Now, this is important. So Germany, Reuters reported a military service law effective January 2026, requiring men aged 17 to 45 to seek permission before leaving Germany for more than 3 months. Berlin's goal is to raise active personnel from about 183,000 to 260,000 by 2035. So, in terms of industrial actions, Germany is the center of Europe's shell and land system ramp up as additional shell orders to Rheinmetall and new plans across it are designed to close munitions gaps exposed by Ukraine and Russia. So we already talked about their shell trajectory in the previous thing. Not a lot with other countries. So we just talked about this. So in the United States, the selective service framework is unchanged. Well, not really. That's not correct. The practical manpower change is forward deployment. Reuters reported a 3,000 to 4,000 troop reinforcements to the Middle East during the Iran war. So the White House and Pentagon pressed contractors to prioritize output over buybacks. Framework agreements with BAE, Lockheed, and Honeywell explicitly put the U.S. on a wartime footing. So THAAD key component output to be quadrupled. Honeywell investing $500 million. Tomahawk output path to 1,000 annually. Army planning to buy 1 million drones over 2 to 3 years. That's not enough. You compare that to Russian output. That's 1.5 million, and then the Ukrainian output. They're aiming for 7 million in this year. So, no conscription changes in Japan. And then there's some kind of industrial growth, but not a lot. South Korea has always had this kind of conscription. It remains the backbone. Continue to exploit export-led defense skills, especially in armor and artillery. So, yeah. And then Iran open source reporting in this shows wartime IRGC besiege mobilization, but no clear new manpower statute comparable to Germany's or Ukraine's. And then industrial trend is contraction, not expansion. Again, Reuters report U.S. officials assess more than 66% of Iranian missile, drone, and naval production have been destroyed or damaged. So again, same thing with Iranian missile and drone attacks were down about 90% from the war's outset. Okay. So again, most of what we've seen in industrial actions for China are just raising budgets, but not much more from that. All right. So then I wanted to get a sense of kind of current military updates, like what's going on in all of these multiple theaters all at once. Before I get at that, let me check comments, because I'm sure there were a ton. Okay. All right, I think that's where we ended up. So the Earth game was getting a tad boring, so I purchased a go. No, we already got through that. Okay. Yep. So Spiritual Center says, don't forget what I told you about China. What, Logan? You're on day 19 of a water fast? How many pounds did you lose on that? And how do you feel? Good Lord. So if you live in the South like I do, nothing is affordable anymore. We have the lowest wages in the whole Western world. Wow. It's not great. Down 35. Oh, that's pretty good for three. Well, is that three? It's not even 3 weeks. That's really good. How do you feel though, energy-wise? Are you still able to function? The most I've ever done is 5 days. Oh yeah, Roger. We are still being made to pay for the losing the Civil War. Yeah, and yeah. Nobody here's sons will be involved in the draft. Why is Australia not in that list? Because I don't think they're gonna. I think they'll be the last to go in. I mean, the only scenario I can see them going into is a Taiwan scenario, and even then, maybe not. Yeah. Okay, so Russia was smart to keep their energy oil nationalized. Yeah, maybe. Okay, Roger Claiborne saying our GDP is faked. Big hedge funds buy up housing en masse at highly inflated prices to make our GDP look like it's way better than it actually is. Maybe not. Hey, Ginger Norseman, money for tanks clearly much better spend on the Online Safety Act. Much better spend on the Online Safety Act. Oh my God. Rather than tanks, we should be like pumping out drones at this point. I think Trump knew they would never back off, so he gave them the reins to destroy themselves and how all the nations rise up against them. Okay. What's this? If I was going to move anywhere, it would be either Russia or China, or Japan or Russia. I don't know about that. Okay, so post-bankrupt Malone is saying, I saw orbs in Rhode Island when Anduril moved into Newport. Ah. Yeah, some of the drones on the East Coast were definitely our tech, but I think we mixed our tech into whatever the not our tech was. All right. Okay. Oh, wow. But noticing here in Korea that again, there are voices demanding the U.S. military leave. On and off again thing. Well, I mean, that's fine if the ROK army wants to absorb a North Korean invasion. Yeah, China's never like to show their hand. Yeah, so remember when former President Hu Jintao was unceremoniously escorted at the closing ceremony of the 20th National Congress of the Chinese Communist Party in 2022. Yeah, I remember that. That was weird. That was awkward. No offense to the civilians, but Amica wants its greedy little fingers in all the pies. Country. Yeah, but because of that, it's been relatively peaceful for a very long time, except in selected parts of the world. When America isn't the hegemon, then it starts to get really ugly. And we're kind of there. All right, life expectancy in Iran is 77 to 78 years. Life expectancy in Kentucky is 72.3 to 73.6. Those are the numbers that come up in a quick search. Well, it's not going to be that way for long, Philip. Because while the U.S., people are going to get slaughtered if we go into a ground campaign, the Iranians are going to be slaughtered at a much accelerated rate. Okay. Anyway, all right, let's get back to our regularly scheduled program. Okay. So let's start with the Russia-Ukraine war. So again, it's just it's a meat grinder, and it's entering its 5th year. So like Reuters and CSIS reporting saying Russia is still advancing, but at very low operational speed. So it's the Pokrovsk offensive. So they average roughly 70 meters per day. It's like World War I kind of stuff. Ukraine remains short of manpower and munitions, but is offsetting some of the gaps through drones, deep strikes, and robotics. All right, this is clearly some bullshit data. So it says this is killed. So it says, CSIS via Reuters is saying Russia has 275,000 to 325,000 military dead. I believe that. I don't believe the Ukraine one. That's bullshit. So Ukraine is saying 55,000 military dead, officially cited by Zelensky. That's a propaganda number. I bet you it's on the same order as the Russian deaths. Ukrainian civilian dead is greater than 12,300, reported by the UN as of January 2025. And that's a floor, not a current turtle. So Russian casualties, so this is dead and wounded at 1.2 million, including wounded and missing. Ukraine close to 400,000. It's more than that. Killed or wounded. In CSIS reporting, a clean current wounded only split is not public. In terms of what they're burning a day, so using the midpoint of 300,000 Russian military deaths plus 55,000, whatever. So that total is 235 military deaths per day over 1,508 days. Again, it's probably, my guess is it's probably double this number. Probably around 500 deaths per day. All right, and then we're looking at the Synagogue of Satan. So they murdered about 72,000 Palestinians. Some legitimate targets, but it's probably a small fraction of that with Hamas. So, and then about 1,200 Israelis were killed in the initial attack, and then they cited over 470 Israeli soldiers killed during the war. That's actually pretty small, compared to U.S. casualties in any prior war, really. So, Reuters cited about 145,000 wounded in Gaza, and then average deaths per day is about 80 deaths per day over 918 days. And then there's the Synagogue of Satan's invasion of Lebanon for what? I guess to steal more land would be my bet. Now they're going to tell you, we needed to get the Hezbollah further out so they could not hit our city centers with missiles. Okay, yeah, that might be true, but you just told 600,000 people to leave their homes and then destroy their homes. So, fuck you. Okay? Like, we didn't do that shit in Iraq. We tried to avoid civilian casualties all we want, but, not the Synagogue of Satan. Okay, so Israel's invaded parts of southern Lebanon and carried out large Beirut area strikes. So reporters reported direct Lebanon-Israel talks being prepared, but the battlefield still points for... And basically, as soon as we hit the ceasefire, the Israelis bombed Lebanon again. It's just like... Yeah, so they killed over 3,700 Lebanese by April 10th. and earlier. So extremely fast elevation or acceleration of the conflict. So you're talking to roughly 90 deaths per day. So they're probably killing civilians at the same rate that they were in Gaza, it looks like. Actually, a slightly faster rate, at 12.5% faster deaths. Because they're not just killing like legitimate targets, they're also killing civilians, most certainly. What an ally. All right, then in the current Iran war, so Reuters has reported more than 3,000 people killed across Iran since the war began, including at least 170 children. Separate on their side, on the Iranian side, separate reporting cited 13 U.S. service members killed, and from Lebanon covered severe legal. Okay, so that's definitely, well, I shouldn't say definitely, but probably underreported on the U.S. side. So Reuters cited about 390 U.S. wounded as of April 9th, but it's only an hour slice of the conflict. So, using the Iranian deaths, roughly 70 deaths per day inside Iran alone. All right, so let's see what's going on. I also asked it to see what was going on in Taiwan. So there's no kinetic war, but China's operational pressure has clearly intensified. So Reuters reported more than 10 Chinese warships entered close to Taiwan's 24 nautical mile contiguous zone in April 2025. That's a year ago. 71 aircraft and 24 vessels during the December 30th, 2025 drills. 77 aircraft and 25 vessels the next day, and nearly 100 naval Coast Guard vessels in the surrounding seas in April 2026 versus a usual 50 to 60. Taiwan also reported 16 Chinese warplanes near the island today. So, again, no casualties at all yet. Now, the fourth part of this is I wanted to see what kind of scenarios could play out in all this. Okay, so these aren't forecasts, but these are just kind of plausible scenarios. So the first is this managed multi-theater attrition. So everything kind of is steady state, status quo right now. And that's kind of what AI at least thinks is the most plausible. But, if there is peace achieved in all these talks, it could kind of put the brakes on certain things. All right, so regional Middle East relapse. I think this is the most likely scenario. So the U.S. ceasefire collapses. Lebanon is not brought under the same agreement. Hormuz recloses. Israel resumes or expands strikes in both Lebanon and Gaza. And then this is the fastest route from regional crisis to a world economic shock. Even without world war, a renewed Hormuz closure would hit fuel, fertilizer, and shipping and inflation simultaneously. A durable Hormuz arrangement plus verified restraint on the Lebanese front would reduce that materially. And then, this would be a nightmare too. So NATO and Russia accidental escalation. So, yeah, not great. Now, Taiwan opportunism, U.S. distraction, I think that's a possibility. So Beijing uses a Middle East or European distraction window to intensify quarantine, blockade, rehearsal, or limited island seizure operations. So Reuters is reporting on unusually high Chinese naval presence, daily air activity, and converted drone deployments near the strait. If it's a strategy, pressure first, decision later. So it doesn't need to invade to deal with that strategic balance. And then there could be this coordinated authoritarian stress test. So Russia, Iran, North Korea, and China don't formally form one war coalition, but each exploits the other's distraction, sharing weapons, imagery, cyber tools. I mean, they're kind of already doing that to some extent. This is the most World War III like pathway, not one single declaration of war, but overlapping theaters that collectively overload Western stockpiles, attention, and shipping lanes. So that would be very bad. So here's the bottom line. The road to a true world war is not a single straight line. It's more likely to be built out of overlapping attritional wars, synchronized industrial mobilization, shipping and energy shocks, and one misjudged step by a state that believes its adversaries are too distracted to respond. The single most dangerous condition visible in April 2026 is not maximum mobilization by any one actor. It is simultaneous strain across Europe, the Middle East, and the Western Pacific. So that's it, and that's all in terms of that little exercise. But I hope that puts some context into what the hell's going on. Let's see. All right. Yeah, Angela Cullum, I think you're right. I think we are in the midst of the new world, one world government rollout. We almost certainly are. Okay, so Roger Claiborne is saying, I hear Russia might just be drafting their undesirables, and so is Ukraine. Like, mostly undesirables will get drafted to be sent to Iran, especially if you're white and Christian. I don't think the Russians roll that way. They send their Asians, like in their Central Asian provinces first, before they send like white, like their elite Russians out of like the Moscow area. Yep. Yeah, it's population control, clearly. Did they think we'd never find out they were? I don't know if they do it deliberately, but. And I'm talking about their government. I'm not talking about the people. Yeah, they are trying to wipe out Lebanon now. Unbelievable. What's the Harvard estimate of the death toll in Gaza? I don't know. I just know that the estimate out there is 72,000. Okay, so Harvard author, 377,000 Palestinians were unaccounted for or disappeared. Good Lord. 17% of the population, with roughly half believed to be children. $10 and some change. What? Kabaz, Black Cube, Lushing, technology. Forever war is what will happen. I mean, we've been in forever war since we've been created. Just hopped in. See, seems the Bilderberg meeting wrapping up. So when they worship Allah, Satan and his minions are getting fed. All right. I don't know. I think something worse than elite bankers are pulling the strings. Yep, the world is adjusting to the fall of modern Rome. I don't think it's a fall. I think it's just a weakening. I think the fall is another 200 years from now, maybe. 250 years. Rome lasted like 500 years or something. Hey, Spider Bite, good to see you. Huh. The Bilderberg met in D.C. this week, huh? Oh, I wonder what they talked about. Now I'm curious. Let's pull up. Okay. What were the topics of the recent Bilderberg meeting in Washington, D.C. I'm curious what the agenda was. Okay, here we go. Yeah, it's happening as we speak, everyone. The last day is tomorrow. So let's see. Yep. To discuss war and economy. It ends tomorrow. Yeah, it definitely ends tomorrow. Okay. I would probably be a Sufi if I had to go into Islam. That would be my choice. They're a lot more chill. Okay, so I just had the thing, so I just got to find it. Okay, so here's what it says. So the most recent Bilderberg meeting was in Washington, D.C. It was the 72nd Bilderberg meeting. It was held between April 9th to tomorrow, April 12th. According to the official press release, the discussion topics were AI, Arctic security, China. Oh, this is scary shit. Digital finance. This is the programmable currency. You own nothing and you'll be very, very happy. Energy diversification. This is we're turning all your energy off so you starve. Europe. Global trade. The Middle East. Russia. The transatlantic defense industrial relationship. Ukraine. The USA. I don't know why the USA would be there. Future of warfare in the West. Oh, brother. One important caveat, Bilderberg says these are only the broad themes. It also states there's no detailed public agenda, no resolutions, no votes, and no policy statements issued because the meeting is held conveniently under Chatham House rule. Okay, let's see what the participant list is. Let's see. I bet you a bunch of them are PDF files. That's the only way you can kind of join, probably. Sorry, I'm yawning. I was up at like 5:30 my time because I had to do an interview that was based in the UK. So I'm like, okay. So let's see. All right. So on AI, it's let's just let me just share this. Probably be easier to just go through it. So share screen. Okay. And just go through some of these. Zane Ivy, that's very interesting. Hey, Pavlos, good to see you, man. Yeah, they don't usually. Yeah, he might be a psyop, but even what he says conveys information. It conveys what the Chinese want you to know. I shouldn't still be frozen, I don't think. It should not still be frozen. Yeah. Okay. I listen to her from time to time, but not constantly. Oops. Okay. All right, let's go through this. All right, so for AI, we have Demis Hassabis. So Google DeepMind. I don't know who Jack Clark is, but he's from Anthropic. Arthur Mensch, it's Mistral AI. Mira Murati, that's Thinking Machines Lab. Brad Smith at Microsoft. And Alexander Wang is Meta Chief AI Officer. They're the clearest AI attendees. So Arctic Security, we got Mark Rutt, General Marcus Laubenthal from SHAPE, so that's the Supreme Headquarters Allied something Europe. President Alexander Stubb of Finland, Alina Yeah. So we have the head of the U.S. Indo-Pacific Command on China, Elizabeth Economy from Stanford. I don't even know who Elizabeth Economy is. I don't know any of these people. I've heard of Stephen Kotkin, but I don't. I know Neil Ferguson. I definitely know. He's at the Hoover Institution. Digital finance. So Patrick Collison from Stripe. Faryar Shirzad from Coinbase. So this is like a payments processor. This is cryptocurrency stuff. The Bank of Spain. I don't know what the EIB is. Deutsche Bank is represented. Amundi, I don't know who that is. Peter Orsag at Lazard, so it's an investment bank. Energy diversification. Let's see. Former BP CEOs there. Who knows? And then Europe. Don't recognize many of these names. Yeah. Let me zoom in a little bit. It's like a bunch of the same people. Again, don't recognize any of these names at all. This might be a Turkish name, but it looks kind of Finnish. I mean, there's similar language groups. This is like a bunch of NATO type people. Yeah, Jens Stoltenberg, definitely NATO. I don't know who Daniel Driscoll is. Yeah. Oh, Alex Karp, yeah, he's the CEO of Palantir. Brian Schimpf, he's not the CEO of Anduril, I don't think, but obviously a representative. Oh, God. Chrystia Freeland. It's that whack job in Canada. I don't know who this is, but it looks like a Ukrainian name. Again, Jens Stoltenberg. Are there any Americans involved? The USA, members of Congress. Who knows? Future of Warfare. I don't recognize any. Oh, Alex Karp. I love these business people who have no military fucking experience at all. And yet they're talking about the future of warfare. Eric Schmidt, there's another one. I bet you, this is probably, these two are probably the only two people with any military experience. Unbelievable. And then the West, Fareed Zakaria, Annie Applebaum, Zaini Minton Betos. I recognize that name. I think she's the editor of The Economist magazine. It's like my favorite magazine. Neil Ferguson, definitely recognize him. So, yeah, the fact that Alex Karp is central across multiple themes is a bad sign. Bad sign. So, yeah. What a wreck. Oh, the Stalin biography professor at Princeton. Interesting. Steve Kotkin, apparently. Stephen Kotkin. Okay. Forced breeding. I'm not. I know that Burkett said some crazy stuff about these hybrid programs, or actually Matt Getz did, and then what's his nuts? Burkett said you should talk to him about that, but he's not wrong. That's kind of what he said. So wait, who's a Mundi? What is Helsing? I don't know. What do you mean by Helsing? Yeah, I'm definitely not invited to any parties. I don't want to be anywhere near those parties. Oh yeah, that makes sense. Annie Applebaum is a World War III pusher who wants to balkanize Europe. Yeah, or Russia, or balkanize Russia. Yeah, it makes sense. Okay. Oh, really? Rothschilds, yeah, or Rothschilds. Yeah, it makes sense. Totally makes sense. Okay. Um, shall we do a poll? I have an idea for a poll. Let us see. Okay, this is pretty simple. Okay. All right, so will the U.S. and Iran resume the war at the end of the ceasefire? Type 1 for yes, 2 for no. All right, I'm going to hide it because I don't want to bias the poll. It is ongoing. So, oh, yeah, Hessling. I don't know who Hessling is. So, again, is the war going to resume between U.S. and Russia? One is after the end of the ceasefire. One is for yes, 2 is for no. One is for yes, 2 is for no. Spiritual ascension. I don't think it's a tricky one. All right, I'm just going to allow folks to vote for a little bit. Again, 1 for yes, 2 for no. I guess you can see the votes in the comments. It's not ideal, but Russia and US, or you? I don't know. I mean, it's already getting there because our greatest ally is, continuing to behave the way it behaves. Huh. I think we already all know the future. Where the hell did it go? Here we go. Oh, come on. Only 7 of you have voted so far. And there's a lot more listening to the live stream. Oh, brother. Okay. The poll is, when the ceasefire ends between the U.S. and Iran, will the war resume? Yes is 1, 2 is no. So will the war resume at the end of the ceasefire? 1 is yes, 2 is no. All right, let's see how we're doing that. All right, the war will resume, but not continued with Iran. Interesting. Yeah, this is just continued war. U.S. versus Iran. It's not complicated. Nice, catching up a 2 times speed. All right, let's see. Oh wow. Okay, so 14 have voted so far. So going once, going twice, and here are the results. So 86% of you thought that the U.S. and Iran will resume the war at the end of the ceasefire. I agree. I think that's pretty much where it's going to be. So, not obviously ideal, but all right, the Navy has been squawking about war in China since what, 2023? Yeah. So 3 main targets are going to be taken out and Hormuz opened. That's what I saw anyway. We'll see. Yeah, it's 100% population control. 100%. No, they really wouldn't. I mean, if we tried to invade China, it would be bloody and terrible, but they haven't fought a war since 1979, and it was 2 weeks long, and they got their asses handed to them by the Vietnamese. So, oh man! And by the way, we just need this one move. You block the Straits of Malacca, cut off their oil supply, and then they just wither on the vine. It's not rocket science to defeat the Chinese. Yeah, who cares how they march? Like, that's an irrelevant skill for combat. Like, the United States have been at war continuously for like for 93% of its life. That's what we do well. That's the one thing our government does well. Like, even this Iran war, like this absolute strategic incompetent disaster, even under like ridiculous conditions where we have no reason to fight, our military still delivers for our mad king. So our military is not the problem, but so does keeping the strait barely moving benefit corporations and their earnings? Why rush to open it? No, it doesn't benefit corporations. It harms everybody. Yeah, they've never been punched in the face in a real war. Like, the United States is continuously. I would be more worried facing Russians than I would the Chinese. The Russians have the Russians have had 4 years to learn and integrate drone warfare. Well, even if they cut a canal, they would still get, Iran could lay mines along the way. Yeah, or China's definitely lying about their population. Like, that's definitely a thing. Never underestimate the United States when it's united in a war. Right? Like, after 9/11, we went overseas and probably killed about 4 million people in the Middle East. Yeah, Russians are pretty medieval. Yeah, but they couldn't even defeat the Japanese. Like, the Japanese went and just crushed them. Although the Japanese were actually good warriors in World War II. They probably are now too, but I think the Chinese are terrified that the Japanese samurai might return, and they should be. They should be. When the Japanese are like mobilized, they are serious warriors. Yep. Russia World War II losses were insane. I think they lost I want to say it was 50. Well, no, I think it was 20 million they lost. That's fair. The problem with Japan is it's got tsunamis and earthquakes, and there's nowhere to go. Man. How are we doing? How are we doing? Japan's problem it is tentacle porn. It definitely is tentacle porn. Sort of. Yeah, Koreans are they're next level too. Okay, you ever play the game Fate War? It's registered in Singapore. I've been surprised how many people are playing the games from Russia. Thank goodness for instant translation button. I've never heard of it. China's also afraid of the Great American Spammer. Now, World War II loss, U.S. loss was 416,000 or 450,000, something like that. It was over 400,000. Oh, wow. So Solite US Expat is saying, I heard last night on Canadian Prepper that there is a serious drought going on in the U.S. and will get worse next year and hit the breadbasket. An unusual cold front just not leaving Canada. Yeah, they might be being used. Cthulhu kink, yes. Tentacle porn. Oh my god. I'm running out of content, guys. I got through all that stuff really fast. Oh, yeah. Yeah, AI data centers are definitely contributing. That's for sure. Same thing with power, electricity, power demand. Yeah, USA fights kinetic wars. Israel uses the CIA and Mossad to fight information wars with the U.S. forces as a tool. That's right. Yeah, Israel's not known for its warriors. It's known for its trickery, which is not something that you kind of want to be known for. China plays the long game, century-long strategy. China has Canada in its grasp. Yeah, China can try to keep Canada in its grasp, but the moment it becomes obvious, the United States will just roll tanks across the border. Oh, man. I don't even know what I'm doing here. I don't have any faith in the government. I just know that the U.S. government is the best in the world at destroying things. Buildings, structures, enemy combatants, money, tax dollars, the dollar. They're great at destroying things. Hey, Grail, I haven't seen you in a while. Interesting. Yeah, Grail, you are way, way late. Whoa, what am I doing? Yeah, they are demons. I'm good with that. We'll probably get better healthcare down here. Oh, there's a drought in Utah? Wow. Thanks, Joshua. That's crazy. All right, well, what else we got going on? I'm like running out of content. I should show you this crazy let me see if I actually have it. Yeah, I'll find it. What? Oh God. Yeah, cluster bombs are not fun. Drought and water war is super. Oh, you just go read it. Go read it. In fact, I never took it down. See the Substack? It's the latest Substack. So along the path darkly.substack.com. You have to read it. It's too like involved. I might record a separate video where I'm like walking in nature talking about it because it is so weird that I just had to write it down. Hey, Suede 618, good to see you. Wow. Yep, talk more about the division of the world in two hemispheres of control. Who will be in charge? The United States will be a regional power in the Western Hemisphere, obviously. The Eastern Hemisphere will probably be Russian and Chinese spheres of influence. I don't know about the Brits. Hopefully they stay in our sphere. Same with the Irish, but you never know. I don't think they're going to have a choice. Like remote viewers saw, like my team of remote viewers saw them with some sort of an agreement where they become part of like the United States in either a protectorate or something, but they're no longer part of the Commonwealth. My vehicle of choice, I don't know. We have like one car. We should have more, but I would think something that is 4-wheel drive and Toyota like. If I could buy a technical, I'd probably get a technical. But you can't buy technicals, Toyota technicals in the United States. It's going. It's going. I'm a little tired today because I started the day very, very early. Yeah, I can see that. When you listen to the propaganda from World War II, they talked about the United States and Canada like two parts of one North American country. They're bringing nuclear power to Utah in the near future, but they're not telling us that it's actually for plans of large data centers. Yeah, I can see that. That would be a horse. You still got to feed that horse, though. That's the problem. Yeah. Toyota, I've always owned Toyotas. I've never gone back. I don't think ever. Because I think I still like the fact that you can drive your own cars. I don't think a lot of everybody's going to be down with that. 1981 Land Cruiser. No chips, pooters, or other electronics. We're going to sound Land Cruiser stays up. Fair. No, that's fair. Oh, wow. Population is booming in Utah. Yeah, not for long if they have a drought. Oh, they were aggressively eating horses during the rape just in time for cars. Oldsmobile. I haven't heard that in a while. Yeah, Tacoma 4x4. Yeah, it's probably a good ride. Yeah, they do. They're good cars. We keep them for like decades and then ride them into the ground. All right. Well, you better buy fast because the prices are going to skyrocket. You might want to wait. The price goes up and then they collapse when we're in the recession. Ooh. Ooh. Man, I am sorry I'm so tired. It's been a long day. It's been a very productive day, but it's just long. I'm trying to think what else is going on. Is Logan still on? Like, you got to tell me how it feels to not have eaten for 19 days. Yeah, I did go to sleep early last night just so that I could make it. But again, I've been up, I don't know, 15 hours. It's not too bad. Oh, my remote viewing team said basically he was dead. Or there's one viewer that suggested he was dead. Nice. So Overland BC said I bought a Grand Am GT, brand new in 2003. Still good, but I sold the Jeep and need a truck for more room. I mean, I need to have another. I need to invite. I need to see. Like, if I ask Metzer to come on, like, he'd probably say yes, and I feel like I would be. He should be spending his time in better places, but he would probably say yes. I will eventually ask him to come on again, and he'll probably say yes. So the price of oil, like, once it resumes, it could be up to $200 per barrel if they keep the strait closed. Yep. I mean, I'll be working tomorrow too. Like, I have to use every day to get stuff done because I am extremely busy on like multiple things. Oh wow. Yeah, that's the reason I'm up so early, because when it was 2 p.m. your time, well, I'm assuming you're in the UK, Luis, but that's quite an assumption. But at the time, it was 5 or 6 a.m. my time is when I had the video. No, we didn't find out who took the general. Yeah, they're initially getting put behind paywalls, but they're eventually available to everybody. I just put them behind paywalls because people want to see them sooner. All you gotta do is just wait a little longer, and they're always available. There's only one that is behind a pay. It's like a variant of another one. Like, the content is only slightly different, and the slight difference is there's like an animated baby talking like a man, but it's like the same content. You would have just seen Nathaniel saying something as opposed to this animated baby talking like a man. That's the only difference. And I didn't do it general because I thought YouTube might give me some sort of a strike or something. Okay, yeah. So, God, it's already the next day for you folks. Yikes. Yeah, I asked him twice to be on my show, and he said no both times. So sad to see him go, but it doesn't hit that deeply. Yeah, Ed Dames passed too. I tried to get him on the show too, and I just never could. Yeah, I live in California, so it's always been $4. Right now, I don't even want to look at what it is. Oh, what's the book referral? Because Nathaniel was on here early on. Yeah, diesel is $8 out here in California, a gallon. I know that. Yeah, Steve Mera, he's legit. He is legit. He knows what's going on. I think his model is probably the closest on kind of what reality is. You all must be aware that many will be clocking out. Shits, what do you mean by clocking out? Death? What does that mean? Oh, in Sacto? What, you mean like Sacramento? Yeah, I got a steak at Outback today. It cost $45 fucking. Oh, leaving the earth womb, yeah. Oh. Yikes. Oops. All right. Good night, Angela. Have a good night. Sorry I'm so low energy today. It's just... Wow. Did anybody read that Substack? And if they did, do they have any comments on it? It's just weird. It is very bizarre. So again, the Substack page, there is a paid subscription, but it's just do the free one. I literally just record all my occult happenings, like strange synchronicities and stuff like that. It just is like a dumping ground for those thoughts. So if you're into that, great. If you're not, don't look at it. Right there at the bottom, along the path darkly. .substack.com. It's on the ticker. Oh, there's something very bizarre. A bizarre sequence of events happened to me, stretching from Holy Saturday to Easter Sunday. If I bottom lined it, you would think I'm a Looney Tune. You just have to read the progression and what happened, because otherwise you'd be like, this is too out there. All right, I went to Wolfgang Steakhouse because I was just wanting a steak. I wasn't paying attention to the price in grams. It was $180. Oh my God. No, I can't play the Pokemon theme song because I'll probably get a copyright strike. Unfortunately. Okay. It's just alongthepathddarkly.substack.com. The page is Along the Path Darkly, and then it's just the latest article. So I have a Substack where I just record all paranormal events like in writing. So it's alongthepathddarkly.substack.com. It's just scrolling across. I can slow down the scroll so people can see it easier. Let me see if I can. There you go. Much slower. Nice. Oh, 180,000 won. Korean won. But if you literally put that website into Google, it's not even in the top 100. That's how bad Google has gotten. Yeah, that's true. Nice. Yeah, if anybody has any thoughts on it, it's wild. Like we're talking wild turkeys in the yard, hawks hunting wild turkey in my yard, and that's not even the weirdest part about it. Oh, I'm really struggling. All right, the number 22 has popped up this week. So many times the man who served me in the shop earlier had 22 on the shirt. Yeah, in the thing I'm talking about, a guy with the name, like the whole thing goes through, and this is like a side element. I got a call from a prison. The prisoner's name was Marcus. I looked him up. His name was Marcus Cherry. And then when I looked him up to write the Substack article, there was another Marcus Cherry who, on the same day that he called, had died in Al Anbar province 22 years earlier on the same day. So there's just, why is somebody calling for me from a prison? You just have to read it. You have to read it. It is so beyond bizarre. But there's all sorts of synchronicity. There's also a 33. Oh, I just put that together. 33 minutes before I was supposed to talk to somebody related to the situation, this Marcus Cherry calls me, or at least tries to call me, because you have to accept it. And of course, I didn't recognize the number, so I didn't accept it. But why was he calling me? I will never know, but there's a creepy reason that maybe. But the number 22 is part of that. Hey, David Todd, good to see you, man. 22. I'm just responding to your 22. The story, that Substack story that I'm talking about, like 22 is part of it. But I don't know if I explicitly call it out, but you just do the math. The Roman emperor with this, I have no idea what the answer to that is. The Roman emperor with the stinkiest farts, no idea. Yep. Had to be Caesar salad. Who knows? Gaseous Maximus. I got it. That's like a dad joke. Something's trying to latch onto your energy. No, I legitimately was up at 5:30 this morning, so that's why I'm exhausted. The Mosul Zoo. Yeah. No deal. Vance blew it. Imagine my lack of shock. I mean, I put that freaking poll up and it's already relevant again? Yep, catch 22. Well, it's not that Vance blew it. It's that they put those two retards on the team again. Kushner and Witkoff, who were absolutely terrible negotiators. They're basically Israeli agents, for lack of a better word. They shouldn't have been anywhere near that room. There's like automated sabotage. Yeah, I'd be curious if anybody who reads that, if you have any thoughts on it. It's absolutely batshit crazy. Hey, David. Thank you so much, man. David, $4.99 super sticker. I appreciate you, brother. Thank you. Great Stella. The negotiation said they were only talking to Vance, not Kushner and the... No, but they were there. I saw them in videos. I saw Shark Eyes himself shaking people's hands. How do you calculate a life number? Now that you put that out there, spiritual ascension, you have to tell people how to calculate it. Oh, I didn't know it was an original Talmudic family. My I don't know if it's sun sign, but Scorpio. Oops. Ugh. You add the date, the month, and the year. When you add the year, is it the full year? Right? Like 2004? Or is it just the last two digits? I'm assuming it's the full year. But you add the date, the month, and the year. But you have to it has to be a number between 0 and 9 though, right? So what do you do? Is it to a single digit? Okay, that's helpful. All right, wait. So you add those together and then you keep reducing it, right? Something like that. And then that'll result in a number. And then if that number is greater than 9, you add the digits together until you get a single digit number. Is that correct? Okay, full year. Kerp. Yep. Okay, that's what I thought. Unless you... Oh. All right, let me see what I get. I'm going to pull up Excel because I don't feel like doing... What am I doing? Here we go. Okay. Oof. I got 5. That's disappointing. That's a good one to have. Yeah, I think my sun sign is your sun sign is basically your normal sign, but my rising sign is Sagittarius. I have not gone down the Talmudic rabbit hole. My understanding is it's a bunch of different rabbis debating stuff, and there's some rabbis that debated some like really, really like what's the word? Supremacist shit in there. Okay, life path 5, spiritual journey centers on freedom, adaptability, exploring the physical world to understand the divine. Known as free spirits, they seek truth through diverse experiences. That's why I always feel like I'm in prison when I have a normal job. Change and adventure rather than rigid dogma. Their purpose involves learning to embrace life's constant transformations while mastering discipline. Life path 5 is someone driven by freedom and change, who learns best through new experiences, but must balance adventure with focus and commitment. Let's see. Talk says we can. What did you think, Crazy Cal? I mean, that really happened. Everything I reported, that's how it happened. What do you think? What do you think really happened? Because I'm not even sure. I'm actually waiting on bated breath, actually, for Crazy Cal to say what. It's probably like, I read it and you're crazy. Bye bye. Oh man. All right, we got 5 minutes left. You got to get it in the next 5 minutes because I am fighting through this. Fighting through it. Crazy Cal. Inquiring minds want to know. Okay. So Crazy Cal says, I've never entered another's dream on purpose, but I've learned how to shapeshift and create anything just by speaking it into existence. Yeah, I did have his permission to do that, though. And the strange thing is, he's never slept better after that. Like, his dreams have been haunted for a very long time, and now he's good. For now. But we tried. It was an experiment. And like 2-night experiment. And even the gibbous moon stuff was weird. Like, but Crazy Cal, would that be worth like just like me recording a video, just walking through a forest and just recounting that story, not reading it, just recounting it, or would that just be kind of a double? Kind of unnecessarily duplication of what the Substack is about. Number 5 loves freedom, so they will certainly not be pleased with the restrictions Number 4 will try to impose on them. Huh. Care to hear? Sure, you got 3 minutes. You gotta be quick. Gotta be quick. Oh man. All right, so Crazy Cal says you're inside a spiritual realm whenever you're dreaming. You might be able to. I didn't know I could do it either. Again, I don't know if I actually did it. Right? We could have just been triggered to believe we have that experience. But maybe so. Oops. Yeah, he's had lucid dreams his entire life too, but they've been like lucid nightmares. And his background too, I didn't really say it, but this guy's like one of the greatest horror writers of his generation, right? Like he's a Shirley Jackson Award winner. He's been a Bram Stoker, like nominated for the Bram Stoker Award. He's like not been nominated for World Fantasy Award. Like he's legit. It said Joe of a woman named Allison. All right, don't ever let anyone know in your dream that you're dreaming. Yeah, I don't think I did that, but all I know is if I catch something in a dream that's not supposed to be there, and I let them know that they're not supposed to be there, they get really, really scared for whatever reason, whatever that is. Okay. So Tenzin Wangyal is very helpful for learning Tibetan dream yoga. Interesting. Huh. I believe I've had angels visit to warn me in dreams a few times. Yeah, well, in this dream, I think one committed an atrocity, and I was like, it's a little much. He's like, no, don't worry about it. I don't say that I know that they're dreaming. I just know that they're shapeshifters, and they get really nervous about that. Those are my favorite. Okay, maybe I'll try it. Maybe I'll record something tomorrow or something. All right, it is time to go. Thank you, David Todd, and thank you again for your super sticker. I really appreciate that. Okay, I'll go into it. Like I could easily record, I don't know, 15 to 20 minute video on that, just walking through a forest. That's easy to do. All right, thanks everyone. Have a fantastic night, and I'll see you all next week. And I'm gonna get some nice sleep tonight after I finish editing a video. But adios, God bless, and good night.
She's dancing in the field, and the sun is in her skin's red and it burns, and the fields go on for miles. Life sucks you dry, she wonders why. Wonders why. she stumbles through the field. She can't see, though she tries. Should've worn her pennant. Now she stumbles. Now she cries. Her skin's red and it burns, and the fields go on for miles. Life sucks you dry. She wonders why.